Charles VI, King of France, lived with a strange and terrible belief. He thought he was made of glass. This bizarre delusion wasn't just a fleeting thought or a momentary lapse in judgment. It was a consuming fear that gripped his mind for decades, shaping his actions and decisions. Imagine a king, powerful and wealthy, yet terrified of being touched, of breaking like a delicate vase. He would wear reinforced clothing to protect himself and avoid any physical contact. This was Charles's reality, a world where his own body felt like a threat. His courtiers and servants had to be extremely cautious around him, always mindful of his fragile state. Charles's reign began in promise. He was young, handsome, and eager to rule. His early years were marked by optimism and ambition, with the potential to be a great leader. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. As he grew older, a darkness crept into his mind, a fragility that extended beyond the physical. His mental state deteriorated, and his reign became overshadowed by his delusions. This is the story of Charles VI, the Glass King, a tragic figure caught in the web of his own mind. His life serves as a poignant reminder of the fragility of the human psyche, even in those who seem invincible. Charles VI inherited the throne at a young age. France in the late 14th century was a turbulent place. The 100 Years' War with England raged on, draining the treasury and leaving the country in turmoil. The Black Death had recently ravaged Europe, leaving scars on both the population and the economy. The pressure on Charles was immense. He was expected to be a strong and decisive ruler, to lead France to victory and restore her to glory. But the weight of the crown, the constant threat of war, and the complex political landscape took their toll on the young king's mind. It began subtly: mood swings, fits of anger, periods of forgetfulness. Then, in 1392, disaster struck. While leading his army through a forest, Charles suffered a complete mental breakdown. He attacked his own men, convinced they were enemies. This marked the beginning of his descent into madness. Charles's condition baffled the best physicians of the time. Some whispered of witchcraft or demonic possession. Today, we might recognize his symptoms as signs of schizophrenia or another mental illness, but in the 14th century, there was no name for what ailed the king, only fear and misunderstanding. Charles's illness cast a long shadow over France. The king, once full of promise, was now unpredictable and often incapable of ruling. Power struggles erupted between factions vying for control. The English, sensing weakness, renewed their attacks. The once proud nation teetered on the brink of collapse. Charles's reign, which had begun with so much hope, became a byword for instability and decline. The Glass King, trapped in his own fragile world, was unable to prevent his kingdom from mirroring his own shattered state. Section 5. A World of Illusions. Charles's belief that he was made of glass manifested in bizarre and heartbreaking ways. He would pad himself with cushions, terrified of breaking. He had iron rods sewn into his clothing for protection. He refused to allow anyone to touch him, even his own wife and children. Imagine the isolation, the fear, the utter loneliness of believing yourself to be so fragile. Charles's world shrank to the confines of his own mind, a place where reality was fluid and terrifying. His courtiers, walking on eggshells, struggled to navigate this delicate and unpredictable landscape. Section 6. Protecting the Fragile King. Despite his condition, Charles was not without compassion. His wife Isabeau of Bavaria showed remarkable strength and resilience in caring for her husband. She shielded him from the worst of the political turmoil and tried to create a sense of normalcy in his chaotic world. Charles's courtiers, too, played a difficult and often thankless role. They humored his delusions, dressed him in padded clothing, and tiptoed around his fragile ego. Their efforts, though often met with frustration and anger from the king, were a testament to their loyalty and their humanity. Section 7. The King's Legacy. Charles VI died in 1422, his mind never fully recovering from the grip of madness. He left behind a kingdom in disarray, his reign a cautionary tale of what can happen when power and illness collide. His legacy, however, is more nuanced than simply one of tragedy and decline. Charles's reign, though marked by his illness, also saw the flourishing of art and culture in France. The king, in his lucid moments, was a patron of the arts, and his court was a center of intellectual and artistic ferment. Section 8. Through a modern lens. Today we can look back at Charles VI's story with greater understanding and compassion. With the advancements in modern psychology and neuroscience, we have a much clearer picture of what might have been happening in his mind. We recognize that he was not possessed by demons, but rather afflicted by a debilitating mental illness. This shift in perspective allows us to humanize historical figures who were once misunderstood and often vilified. His story serves as a reminder of the humanity of those in power, showing us that they too faced personal battles and struggles. It underscores the fact that even kings are vulnerable to the frailties of the human mind. Their titles and crowns do not shield them from the realities of mental health issues. Charles's reign also highlights the importance of mental health awareness. It shows us how far we've come in understanding and treating mental health conditions, and how much further we still need to go. It emphasizes the need for compassion and understanding in the face of such challenges. By learning from the past, we can better support those who struggle today. It reminds us that mental illness can affect anyone, regardless of their status or power. This universal vulnerability calls for a collective effort to foster a more empathetic and supportive society. Section 9. Lessons from a Shattered Reign. Charles VI, the Glass King, may be remembered for his madness, but his story holds valuable lessons for us all. His reign, marked by periods of lucidity and insanity, offers a poignant reflection on the fragility of the human mind. It teaches us the importance of empathy, of understanding the struggles that others may face, often hidden beneath the surface. It reminds us to recognize the humanity in those who are different or who suffer, and to extend a hand of compassion and support. It reminds us that strength can be found in unexpected places, in the quiet resilience of those who stand by us in our darkest hours, in the love of a devoted wife who remains a pillar of support despite the chaos surrounding her, or the loyalty of steadfast courtiers who continue to serve with unwavering dedication. Most importantly, Charles's story reminds us that history is not just a collection of dates and battles, but a tapestry woven from the lives of real people with all their complexities and contradictions. Each thread in this tapestry represents a life, a story, a unique perspective. It is in these individual stories, in the moments of joy and sorrow, that we find the most profound truths about ourselves and the human condition. It is in these individual stories and their triumphs and tragedies that we find the most profound truths about ourselves and the human condition. The story of Charles VI is a reminder that even in the midst of turmoil, there is always a lesson to be learned, a truth to be uncovered, and it is through these reflections that we can better understand our own lives and the world around us.